Philadelphia International Medicine provides international patients with access to a unique network of world-renowned doctors and surgeons that provide personalized medical and surgical care, connecting you to the U.S.'s leading healthcare specialists who are ranked among the best in the world. Healing is possible when you're confident in your healthcare team. To find out more, contact us at physicians@philadelphiamedicine.com or call 1-215-563-4733.
You can count on us.
Red or white seedless grapes, only $3.99 per pound. Fresh Purdue chicken leg quarters, only $1.79 per pound. Your choice of ShopRite vegetables, 14.5-ounce tin, hot price 99 cents. Scott toilet tissue, 4 rolls, only $4.99. Purex laundry detergent, 50-ounce bottle, only $4.79. All stores open Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., Sunday 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. for your shopping convenience.
You can count on us.
Live from Bermuda Broadcasting, this is ZBM TV9 News.
Good evening, everyone. It's Friday, March the 16th. I'm Diane Brewer, and thank you for joining us tonight. Trevor Monez, the OBA MP tonight, breaking his silence on his thoughts after he was ejected from the House of Assembly last Friday for failing to heed rulings of the House of Assembly Speaker Dennis Lister. Mr. Monez had made repeated interventions when the issue of the government lawsuit against the Leahy Clinic came up. Gary Moreno caught up with him outside the chamber following his personal explanation in which he gave an apology.
You apologized to the Speaker of the House before making your statement this afternoon, your personal explanation, with regard to the allegations that were made last Friday in terms of having shredded documents related to the Leahy investigation, the Leahy court matter and such. You denied that you in fact committed any such acts. Where would these allegations have come from then?
There were a number of vile insinuations made last Friday, both while I was there and after I left. I have no idea where they came from. The idea that I would have shredded documents in my own files is just ridiculous. And those files were all electronic. They were all forwarded electronically to Cooley. We had issues with confidentiality in chambers. The letter concerning the Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty had been leaked from chambers, so we had a high regard for confidentiality. So all those documents were sent directly to Cooley and were held electronically, and that's how we accessed them. Would it have made more sense to, well, I don't know what the strategy was, but to have made more sense to inform the House of Assembly before doing that to avoid this type situation? Well, I'm not sure how I would have done that because what we were doing was all confidential, so you wouldn't inform the House of Assembly. Cabinet were aware that I was issuing proceedings against Leahy, that those issues had been taken to Cabinet on 3 occasions, so Cabinet were fully informed and the funding was approved. So you were within your legal rights, not contravening any laws, by sending those documents overseas? Oh, absolutely, because the cases were overseas, so that's why you would do that. Despite the fact that they're government documents? Yes. Now, that the claim is going to be, the cost for this matter is going to be in the region of $3 or $4 million. How are you so sure about that? Well, the situation is, I believe the Attorney General has issued a statement today saying that the actual cost of the Cooley case to date was just around $1 million. So the higher figures being bandied about was somewhat fanciful.
However, we can reveal that while making his address to the chamber, he read from an edited statement after he was reportedly instructed to remove segments from the statement, namely one part that accused the Premier of releasing information for political purposes. That information said to be correspondence related to Bermuda's Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty to the U.S. In his original statement, he accused the PLP's position on corruption as rhetoric. 345 people submitted responses on the proposed sugar tax, and the majority are in favor of the new taxation. This is according to Health Minister Kim Wilson, who updated the House of Assembly this morning on the outcome of the public consultation. It is the government's throne speech initiative to reduce the incidence of diabetes and obesity by placing up to a 75% tax on goods containing sugar. Opposition from small business owners to the tax. Minister Wilson says 52% of surveyors were in favor. Gary Moreno caught up with the minister outside of the chamber.
Where are we in terms of the consultation and so on?
Well, this consultation period ended actually on the 1st of March, so what we presented this morning in the House was just an interim report. Obviously, there were some 13 questions that were asked, and a number of individuals, so I think there was 354 persons, provided their input, so there is a lot of commentary to sift through, providing more details and what the public's information or the public's concerns were and the like, as well as suggestions. So what was read this morning was just an interim report to just inform members and the public as to the initial review. Again, it just ended on the 1st of March, so we're still going through and sifting through all the submissions. A number of things were highlighted. There was a majority of persons that responded do support the introduction of a sugar tax. They support the introduction of it being 75%. They support that it be placed on candy. They do not support that it be placed on milk products as well as diet sodas. So it was just an interim report. Once we've compiled all of the data as well as the submissions that are very lengthy, we will then come back to the House in the next session to provide further information about the initiatives.
Elsewhere, David Birch, the Minister of Public Works, breaking his silence on the statements from that group, calling itself the 9 colonels who have publicly denounced plans to abolish conscription into the regiment. Recently, the group sounded the alarm by stating the Royal Bermuda Regiment had failed to attract enough volunteers to remain a strong enough force, a statement that was criticized by Wayne Keynes, the National Security Minister. Minister Birch, a former commanding officer of the regiment, says there needs to be more efforts to attract volunteers.
Well, clearly I support the position that the government has taken. As a former colonel, I wouldn't have done it the way that civilians were allowed to do it on both sides of the divide, and I think everybody knows that. I'm not a member of the 9 colonels. I wasn't then, and I'm not now. I think that the regiment, if you approach this right, has the potential to be the success that we envisage it to be. But you have to have people who are trying to convince others to join it, who have a passion and who can sell it and who have credibility and currency with them. And I don't personally believe enough of an effort has been made in order to encourage people to join. I mean, one of the great successes that the regiment will soon enjoy is something that I had tried to do when I was in command 2 decades ago, and that is expanding to a permanent element of the regiment, and certainly going onto the water and taking over the marine aspect of Bermuda's security, I think will serve as a major plus to encourage young people who like being on the water to be able to do that. I think that if we graduated to a point where we acknowledge the difference between policing and soldiering, we could eliminate some of the challenges that we have with the Bermuda Police Force as well. If you took some of the non-traditional roles that they currently are carrying out and gave them to the regiment so that you had practical and useful activities for soldiers to do, then, and a career that they could pursue, and a variety that military service offers, I think you'd have greater success in terms of being able to encourage people to volunteer.
Education Minister Diallo Rebane said today he had taken the first steps to address a lack of math and science skills by public education pupils. You'll recall the minister sharing the results of the Cambridge Checkpoint and IGCSE exams last month, which showed many of the island's pupils lacking in these areas. Mr. Rebane revealing that experts from Cambridge recently flew to the island to make observations in math, classrooms, among other tasks.
Well, actually, if you listen to the statement I read this morning, they did both. They came to assess in particular, our mathematics curriculum, how it's being taught, what is happening in our classrooms, and to provide feedback and to provide us with a plan on how we can move forward in terms of how it's being taught, what could be done better, and how the curriculum can be more effective.
What did they have to say to government based on their findings or experience?
They said, well, first we were encouraged. From the statement, I was very encouraged to see that they were happy with our students. And they said students were very engaging and the students were world class. And they also made a point that, they also noted that the teachers were teaching the Cambridge curriculum. However, they did note a few things that could be done better, and they outlined us with 10 points that we could do things better. And some of those things included giving the students more, making the students think more about when they're doing their problems, a different approach to the teaching from the teacher's perspective.
Stay with us. More news in tonight's AccuWeather forecast after the break.
PriceRite is your one-stop shop with something for everyone. Household goods for kitchen, bedroom, and bathroom. Aisles of bulk groceries at value prices. A complete selection of fresh meat and produce. And an extensive range of frozen items to cover every meal. Wines from around the world and beer and liquor at discount prices. Visit PriceRite at our 2 locations in Pembroke and Warren. There's always something new and always something for everyone.
The whole concept came from the collaboration with BF&M and the America's Cup. The Endeavour program is the legacy of the 35th America's Cup that was here in Bermuda in June. And we've continued the charity now operating in Bermuda. And going forward, we thought, what a great opportunity for children on the autism spectrum. And hence we actually developed the No Limits program. They really do benefit from this kind of outdoor experience, this environment. You know, just yesterday going off the east end of Bermuda, I mean, they wouldn't have done that. Not many children in Bermuda have done that. And just them learning to take control of a large bit of transportation that they're doing at that age, and they may never get that opportunity.
That's where you see the biggest progress is whether they were looking at their hand steering, you know, now they're looking forwards and actually looking where they're going because they've realized, oh, I know where my hand is. I can do this without looking at my hand.
We are so grateful for the Endeavour program and what it has done for the students on the autism spectrum.
Welcome back. No salary increase for parliamentarians or senators. Premier David Burt in a ministerial statement to the House of Assembly today explaining the reason for the decision was due to the failure since 2011 to appoint a board to review these salaries, something which, according to ministers and members of the Legislature, Salaries and Pensions Act 1975.
Every year, a salary resolution has to be tabled in Parliament. There is no increase. But as I had stated inside of my statement, is that we have comments from the Auditor General that we have not been following the law. The law requires that there's a salary review board that is to provide a report every 2 years. That board has not been impaneled for the entire time the One Bermuda Alliance was in office. And so the Auditor General has said that we are not in compliance with the law. So we have brought ourselves into compliance with the law by appointing a salaries review board, which is what the law requires us to do. That board has been appointed. There are 7 members who have agreed to serve on there, and they will begin their work to fulfill their obligations underneath the law to review members of Parliament's salaries and then to report back to the Speaker.
Have they begun their work, and if they have, how long before that?
They have not begun their work. I can assure you. They have been. Many were notified of their appointment as recently as this week. So we've been going through this process just to make sure that we can be in compliance with the law. I do not know off the top of my head the timeline of which has been established underneath the law. I don't have that information from me, but I would expect that they would report back to the Speaker when they're finished with their consultation.
That does not mean there will be no increase once the current fiscal year expires in March 2019.
Tabling of the salaries is for this fiscal year, so it doesn't expire until March 31st, 2019.
So does this mean that there could be an increase for MP salaries after 2019?
There could be an increase, there could be a decrease, there could be adjustment, there could be whatever. I mean, it's not up for members of Parliament to prescribe, and I think that's the most important point. When the Progressive Labour Party was in office, we set up an independent board, which is not, so we are not the ones who decide what happens to salaries. It's a process that's over there, and a process which is looked at by an independent board, and they have their assessment. So it's a consultation between the Speaker, the President of the Senate, the opposition leader, and myself in order to appoint this board so they can go ahead and do the work of which they do. We do not interfere, and we will look to see what they come back with.
And turning to weather news, a mix of sun and clouds for our Saturday. Here's the latest from AccuWeather headquarters.
AccuWeather is presented by BF&M Insurance Group. We now go to AccuWeather headquarters.
The BF&M Insurance Group is pleased to bring you tonight's AccuWeather forecast. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Brittany Boyer, and we've been dealing with this stubborn storm system that brought some heavy snow to the East Coast a few days ago, but it's still spinning up toward Canada, and that is pushing some gusty winds into our area. It's going to be pretty windy as we head throughout the rest of this Friday night, and then those winds will start to slacken by the time we head into Saturday. So good news for the weekend, becoming less windy on Saturday. However, Sunday, the clouds will increase, and it looks like we will have some rain around. But looking at things over the last couple of hours, aside from the breezy conditions, we could see a passing shower roll through the area through tonight, but we're not expecting anything too steady out there. But the showers will make for some reduced visibility for anybody that might happen to be out on the water late tonight. Current temperatures right now across the island sitting in the upper 60s. We will cool things off just a touch as we head into your Saturday. Humidity currently between 60 and 65%. Again, the winds are a little bit brisk out there, between 25 and 30 knots. We could see those winds getting up to even 35 knots as we head into tonight. So it is going to be a windy one. Again, as far as precipitation is concerned, we're not expecting anything significant, but there could be an evening shower in spots. Otherwise, we'll call it partly cloudy for tonight. A low of 57 degrees. And looking at your marine forecast here, I do have another page coming up, but we do have a gale warning through tonight, and then additional weather alerts as we head into the weekend. So stay tuned for that. Your tidal times right down here. High tide 1 coming in at 9:08 tonight, and then high tide 2 coming just before 9:30 tomorrow morning. So temperatures tomorrow a little bit cooler, but the good thing to note about Saturday is that the winds will start to relax. It's still going to be breezy outside. You'll have a mix of sun and clouds, so you can still get outside, get things done. I think the International Film Festival is going on this weekend, so perhaps you can head out to that. Our low will be near 60 degrees tomorrow night heading into your Sunday. All right, current weather alerts, what we have going on, that gale warning through tonight, and then a small craft warning Saturday through Sunday afternoon. So we're not really looking at much improvement out on the water for this weekend. And hey, this weekend, looking ahead at your Saturday at some other locations, New York City, 46 degrees, clouds and sunshine. Could see storms around Atlanta with temperatures in the mid-70s, a little bit warmer in Jamaica, 86 degrees right now. We do have some showers around, but those temperatures are feeling all right. And as we take a look at your extended forecast, again, a little bit cooler on Saturday. The winds will start to relax. Sunday, clouds thicken. Our next storm system moves through, and it will be bringing some rain throughout the day on Sunday. High pressure builds in for Monday, so a drier day. And then we warm up heading into the middle of next week.
AccuWeather was presented by BF&M Insurance Group.
Jane just got diagnosed with dementia. Her doctor recommended home care service. Jane chose Bermuda InHome Care, a full home care service with certified dementia care specialists available 24/7. Jane and her family was extremely happy when the caregiver showed up on time. The caregiver prepared her meals, reminded her to take medication, helped her with personal hygiene care, and solved puzzles with her. The family chooses Lighthouse Medical Supplies to set up all her durable medical equipments. Call Bermuda InHome Care, 705-4424. Your one-stop shop for all your home care services and medical supplies. Taking the hassle out of healthcare, call now, 705-4424.
The Department of Youth, Sport, and Recreation presents Victorious, Today's Girls, Tomorrow's Future, a celebration of females in sports. Under the distinguished patronage of the Honorable Premier, E. David Burt JP MP, the 37th Annual Sports Awards celebration will be held on Saturday, March 17th at the Fairmont Southampton Resort's Mid-Ocean Amphitheater, starting at 7 p.m. Tickets are $15 and available at the Department of Youth, Sports, and Recreation, located on the 3rd floor of the Craig Appen House, number 8 Wesley Street, Hamilton. For more information, call 295-0855.
Turning to sports, 7 youngsters are heading out to a sailing regatta to represent Bermuda. Bermuda will see the return of the Argo Group Gold Cup, a sailing event, and senior school track and field championships to be decided this evening at the National Sports Center. Earl Basin has tonight's sports package.
7 youngsters will represent Bermuda in the 2018 South American Optimist Sailing Regatta in Uruguay. Bermuda Optimist Dinghy Association board member Jennifer Burling is excited about the team chosen.
The Bermuda Optimist Dinghy Association held trials in October and November to choose a 7-person team to represent Bermuda at the South Americans in Uruguay. We're really excited to have this team of 4 boys and 3 girls to represent us, ranging from the national champion for the last 2 years running, down to someone whose first experience this is at an international regatta.
Azai Smith, the Bermuda National Optimist champion, is looking forward to the event.
Yeah, just racing with my teammates and all the others from all around the world. It's a little bit scary, not that much, but still scary. I've been sailing the Optimist for 4 years now, and this will be my 5th year, and my last, I think.
The Royal Bermuda Yacht Club and Argo Group International Holdings announced the Argo Group Gold Cup will be returning May 7th through the 12th of this year and is open to 16 teams. Today's announcement comes after the long-standing event was shelved in order for Bermuda to host the America's Cup, and as a result of the partnership between the Royal Bermuda Yacht Club and Argo Group, Bermuda will return to the center of the sailing world this May, and the world's top match racing talent descends on the island. Salters Grammar School and Cedar Bridge Academy share the lead going into this evening's final of the Bermuda School Sports Federation Senior School Championships going on at the National Sports Center. Both teams topped the table with 157.50 points, with the Barclay Institute following closely behind with 147.50 points. Salters claimed 3 of the 4 3,000-meter titles. Jesse Marshall and Nicholas Narroway won the under-16 girls and boys race, while Carifta qualifiers Ashley Irby and Barclays Robert Edwards topped the podium in the over 16 division. Noah Brown took to the court for the $10,000 men's Carter Classic at the Toronto Racket Club in Canada. Brown took on Mario Yans from Mexico in the first round qualifier and went down in straight games 11-7, 11-8, 11-8 in 35 minutes of action. The 2017-18 Bermuda Bowl hockey season is drawing to an end, and today we bring you the current point leaders in the division. Jeremy Esty from the Winnipeg Jets is the league-leading goal scorer with 32 goals, while Andrew Boner from the Montreal Canadiens and Chad Cunliffe from the Edmonton Oilers are tied for second with 20 goals. Matt Benson from the Winnipeg Jets has 19 goals. Esty leads the overall point standing with 62. His teammate Benson has 43, while Christopher Merritt from the Toronto Maple Leafs has 42 points. In the goalkeeper goals against average department, the leader is Derek Holmes from the Winnipeg Jets with an average of 2.92, while Yves Paul from the Toronto Maple Leafs has an average of 2.97, and the Ottawa Senators' Scott Steele has an average of 3.05. Galray Rollins was part of the England South team who were determined to maintain their dominance over the North when the cricket series gets underway in Barbados. Rollins and his teammates flexed their muscle with a convincing win against a Barbados Cricket Association select team at the Kensington Oval. South captain Sam Northeast and his former Kent teammate Daniel Val Drummond were both in form, scoring 73 and 52 respectively. Youngsters Rollins and Ollie Pope then knocked off the remaining runs, with Rollins hitting a huge 6 over the extra cover boundary in the direction of the Sir Garfield Sobers Pavilion. Rollins finished with 24 not out. Kirsten Salters and her Ketowah women's tennis teammates fell to visiting Wingate in a South Atlantic Conference tennis match at the Johnson Tennis Center. Wingate women claimed a 9-0 victory to up its record to 8-2 on the season and 2-0 in conference play, while the Ketowah women are 3-5 on the season and 0-2 in conference play. Playing in the number 6 single spot, Salters went down 8-0 to Meredith Lee. I'm Earl Baisden with Bermuda Broadcasting Sports.
You can count on us.
Red potatoes, 5-pound bag, hot price $3.99. Fresh certified Angus beef, top sirloin steak, $9.49 per pound. Libby's Vienna sausages, original or chicken, 4.6-ounce tin, only 69 cents. Pepperidge Farm Goldfish snacks, hot price only $1.99. Old Time butter sliced bread, 24-ounce loaf, hot price $4.59. All stores open Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. for your shopping convenience.
You can count on us.
The whole concept came from the collaboration with BF&M and the America's Cup. The Endeavour programme is the legacy of the 35th America's Cup that was here in Bermuda in June. And we've continued the charity now operating in Bermuda. And going forward, we thought, what a great opportunity for children on the autism spectrum. And hence we actually developed the No Limits programme. They really do benefit from this kind of outdoor experience, this environment. You know, just yesterday going off the east end of Bermuda, I mean, they wouldn't have done that. Not many children in Bermuda have done that. And just them learning to take control of a large bit of transportation that they're doing at that age, and they may never get that opportunity.
That's where you see the biggest progress is whether they were looking at their hand steering, you know, now they're looking forwards and actually looking where they're going because they've realized, oh, I know where my hand is. I can do this without looking at my hand.
We are so grateful for the Endeavour program and what it has done for the students on the autism spectrum.
The Bermuda International Film Festival kicks off this weekend. Among the highlights will be an acting workshop with Hollywood star Karen Allen, perhaps best known for her role in 2 of the Indiana Jones films. She's appeared in dozens of movies working with Al Pacino, George Clooney, Meryl Streep, and a host of others. Our reporter Hal Davies spoke to her today, and he began by asking her which of her many films was her favorite.
It's very hard to say what, you know, one being a favorite one. I think they're all favorite when you're working on them. You know, you're putting your whole heart into them. And, you know, some have certainly had a kind of longevity in my life in terms of, you know, certainly Marion Ravenwood in Raiders of the Lost Ark, because I returned to that character 20 years later. And, you know, who knows? You know, we might continue working on that. You know, that certainly was a wonderful one. I did this wonderful film called Starman. It had a character named Jenny Hayden, who, with Jeff Bridges, that was an awful lot of fun to do. I think, you know, there's a lot that have been favorites, so it's hard to pick. It's like saying who's your favorite child or something. I only have one, so that's not hard for me. But
I mean, the Indiana Jones films, they're huge, big budget ones with big stars, Spielberg, and what's it like working on that sort of size of production?
Well, it's different. I mean, it's a very different experience. It's pretty fantastic because when I went to do Raiders of the Lost Ark, I had only done maybe 3 or 4 films, and for the most part they'd been, you know, location films, you know, modern day, and suddenly I was in England on these incredible sets that were being built by extraordinary artists, and it was a fantastical world, you know, set in the 40s, and it sort of blew me away. I mean, it was entering a whole nother world, kind of old Hollywood kind of way of filmmaking, you know, when these huge created sets.
Your character is very much a sort of a feminist icon in some respects. She thwacks Indiana Jones around the face. What do you make of this sort of revival of sort of feminism in Hollywood over the last year?
Hey, the more the merrier. I mean, it's fantastic. It's, you know, well, it's happening on a lot of different levels. I mean, I think it's happening in the characters that are being written for films, and the films that are actually rising, you know, to prove that they can do well in the business aspect of it all. But you know, I'm all in favor of bringing more women into the entire film business on every single level.
And you've got your own film out here, A Tree, a Rock, a Cloud.
Yeah.
Was it difficult to get money together for that?
Well, it was, as a matter of fact. I thought that would be one of the easiest parts of it, but that was just my own lack of experience. So, you know, we found it a grind getting the money together. I mean, short films are particularly difficult because there's really not a big commercial market. You're really asking for contributions. You're not asking for investments. I mean, the investment is in, you know, the material or in the director or in the actors, or, you know, but there's no return necessarily. So that's a particularly hard thing because you're competing with, you know, all kinds of other ways people could be, you know, contributing money, and there's a lot of other things out there that are, really much more deserving than a short film. But
does this mean you're turning your back on acting slightly, or you're going to carry on doing sort of movies as well?
I've been directing for about 10 years, mostly in the theater. This is my first foray into film. No, I'll continue. I think I continue doing both. It makes my life more interesting to have both.
Right, and you're here in Bermuda for the festival, the beginning of the festival, and you're doing a acting masterclass. Are you looking forward to that?
Oh, very much, very much. Well, I don't quite know what the format is yet. It's might be like a little seat of the pants, but that's always makes it fun and exciting.
And that's our newscast for tonight. I'm Diane Brewer. Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Enjoy the great weather. Good night.
Tonight, the new video showing the moment